Hi everyone, Popcorn Set here. Today, I will explain a movie about a scientific expedition team breaking into an uninhabited island and discovering all kinds of weird giant buffaloes, giant grasshoppers, giant human-eating lizards, and a giant ape. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. At the beginning of the story, the American scientific expedition team discovers an uncharted island in the South Pacific. Many civilizations spoke of it in legends. It's notorious for the number of ships and planes that have gone missing there, just like the Bermuda Triangle. In order to clarify the geographical environment of the island, the scientific expedition team, which comprises soldiers and explorers, officially set off to the uncharted island. The team is led by Colonel Packard, a former Special Air Service captain named James, and an anti-war photographer named Mason also joined the team. The uninhabited island is very remote and surrounded by dense fog. The expedition team breaks through the dense fog and arrives at the island by helicopter. Everyone is stunned by the beautiful scenery on the island, which is like a paradise. Arriving at Skull Island, Packard's men begin dropping explosives to shake the earth and create vibrations, which can help the geologists to map the subsurface of the island. Because this is an uninhabited island, they are not worried about harming humans. A large number of bombs explode around the island, breaking the peace that the island has maintained for many years. When the team members are excited flying over the island, a huge tree suddenly falls from the sky and hits their helicopter. Then a giant ape appears in front of them. This is Kong, the owner of the island. He was sleeping just now, and the explosion of the bomb woke him up. Kong stands in front of the helicopter majestic and clenches his fists angrily. Seeing that something is wrong, Packard quickly orders his men to shoot at the creature. But Kong is invincible, as the bullets can't hurt him at all. With Kong's roar, he officially launches a counterattack, and the helicopter is as vulnerable as a fly in front of him. Kong destroys the helicopters with a barrage of punches, bringing more than half of the team to death. The remaining team members make an emergency landing to the ground and scatter across the island. In this war between humans and animals, mankind was defeated miserably. The island seems to be peaceful, but in fact, it is perilous, as there are all kinds of huge creatures living here. Two groups form between the survivors, one with Colonel Packard and several soldiers, the other with James, Mason, and some biologists, geologists. When James's group is resting by the river, they notice a huge water buffalo emerging from the river, with water plants on its back, as if it hasn't taken a shower for a long time. To their surprise, the buffalo does not attack them, and it leaves after a few glances at the people. On the other side, Packard leads the team through a bamboo forest. One of the soldiers finds that there is something wrong with the bamboo. Upon closer inspection, they find that it is not bamboo at all. Instead, it turns out to be the legs of a giant spider. The spider's mouth stretches out some huge tentacles, which grab a few soldiers and pull them into its mouth. Packard's men immediately fire their guns at the creature. Although this spider is huge, its body is still soft. Under the fierce shooting from Packard and his men, the spider is soon beaten to death. James's group encounters the local Iwi natives and an older Marlowe. Marlowe tells them his plane crashed and landed on the island many years ago. Since then, he has been living on the island. Marlowe then explains to the group that Kong is the only owner of the island. The island once lived with a species of giant lizard, which killed local Iwi natives and animals. Kong's parents fought with the lizards to protect other creatures. In the end, Kong's parents were killed and the lizards were locked up in the underground. However, the bombs they dropped woke up a bunch of lizards, which is the reason why Kong is mad at them. Now the island is facing a huge disaster. At this time, Kong is resting in the river. He got injured in the battle with the expedition team just now. An octopus in the river wants to take the opportunity to eat Kong, as it uses its tentacles to wrap around Kong. Kong becomes furious and drags the octopus out. Although the octopus has many tentacles, it is no match for Kong's incredible strength. Kong tears the octopus apart by hand, and the giant octopus quickly becomes octopus sushi. James tells Marlowe that they need to rush to the north end of the island, where a refueling team will come to rescue them. Marlowe decides to go with them. They find an injured buffalo halfway. The buffalo is held down by the wreckage of a plane. Mason runs over to rescue the buffalo, but she is too weak to push the wreckage. Just then, a huge palm falls from the sky, picks up the wreckage of the helicopter, and throws it aside. Mason looks up and finds that Kong is standing in front of her. Kong stares at Mason for a while and walks away by knowing that Mason was just trying to save the buffalo. In the jungle on the other side, a soldier is sitting on a tree trunk to take a break as the trunk suddenly throws the soldier away. The soldier takes a closer look at the trunk and finds out this is actually a huge grasshopper. The soldier tries to protect himself by shooting at the creature, but the grasshopper is not afraid of bullets at all. As the soldier is about to be devoured by the grasshopper suddenly stops and runs away. The soldier feels something is wrong and looks back. A more terrifying monster appears behind him. Before he can react, he becomes a snack for the monster. After rushing for a few days, James's group finally reunites with Packard's team. They encounter a huge lizard on the way to the north end. They have no choice but to fight back. However, they are no match for the opponents as the lizard devours them one by one, crunching them like popcorns. A group of big birds smells blood and flies over to rip the soldiers apart savagely. James notices this area is surrounded by biogas, so he ignites a lighter and throws it at the big lizard. The lighter detonates the biogas, and the large lizard is killed by the explosion. At night, Packard reveals his plan to kill Kong and avenge his fallen men before leaving the island. James tries to explain that Kong was just trying to defend his territory and killing Kong would lead to the lizards running rampant, but Packard refuses to listen. Packard's group lays a trap for Kong at a nearby lake as James and Mason meet Kong up close. Seeing his true peaceful nature, they resolve to save Kong. Packard's group lures Kong with an explosion and incapacitates him with ignited napalm. As Packard is about to detonate the last napalm and kill Kong, James arrives and tries to persuade the other soldiers to spare Kong, but Packard refuses to yield. When the standoff is no closer to being resolved, a giant lizard emerges from the lake and the soldiers immediately run away except for Packard, who still decides to kill Kong by detonating the bomb. But before he can do so, Kong crushes him to death. The next morning, the group stumbles towards the sea, preparing to leave by speedboats. However, the lizard from last night catches up to them and begins to attack them. In order to cover the others to leave, a soldier pulls off the grenade, ready to die with the lizard. But the lizard throws him onto the distant cliff with its tail, and the soldier is blown to death. Then, the giant creature approaches the main character and opens its massive mouth, trying to devour all of them. Just then, Kong shows up as he picks up a stone and hits the lizard in its face. Then the two giant beasts start fighting. The lizard takes the lead in attacking by biting Kong's neck, as Kong furiously fights back by grabbing the lizard's mouth, wanting to tear it apart. Kong throws the lizard to the cliff as the lizard quickly gets up and bites Kong frantically. Kong grabs a large tree as a weapon and continues to beat the lizard, who counters quickly using its tail. Kong is thrown to the shore by the lizard, trapped by the iron chain, unable to move, as the lizard proudly climbs onto Kong to kill him. In order to save Kong, a man fires at the big lizard regardless of danger, distracting the creature and turning its attention towards him. Just then, Mason stands on the top of the mountain and hits the lizard with a flare. The flare explodes on the face of the lizard. Kong takes this opportunity to break free from the restraints. There is a huge propeller just next to him. Kong smashes the propeller against the lizard and the lizard is knocked to the ground and struggling with pain. Kong gradually gains the upper hand. He entangles the lizard with the iron chain and throws it towards the mountain. However, this accidentally causes Mason on the top of the mountain to fall into the sea. Kong quickly ends the battle by giving the lizard a fatal blow with the propeller. Then, as Mason is about to lose consciousness, Kong rescues her from the sea. But the lizard is still not dead. It attacks Kong from behind and stretches out its tongue to wrap around Kong's arm. Kong, who has just gone through a big battle, is already exhausted, so his arm is quickly sucked into the lizard's mouth. As Kong roars furiously, he pulls the lizard's tongue out with incredible strength. Even the lizard's internal organs are brought out. The lizard soon stops breathing. Kong carefully places Mason on the shore and then walks away. A few days after, the survivors reach the rendezvous point and leave the island as Kong stoically watches. What do you think about the movie? Leave a like to help the channel out. I'll see you guys next time.